In January of 2025, I made my first adventure trip into the Maze District of Canyonlands National Park, more specifically the Dollhouse area. A few months later in April, I released my very first YouTube video on this channel that was about that trip. Since then, I've been itching to get back out into this area, not only because it's absolutely beautiful and breathtaking, and such an awesome area to visit and explore and see, but also because there was just a lot of things about that first video that I wasn't happy with. Overall, I didn't really know what I was doing at all in both capturing and editing, and I just feel like this area deserved a take two, so that's what this is. This is the day before Thanksgiving heading in here, and me personally, I can't think of a better place to have Thanksgiving than in one of the most remote areas in the lower 48. When it comes to places accessible by wheels, the Maze District and especially the Dollhouse area is about as remote as it gets. It's commonly ranked top 3 to 5 most remote places in the lower 48 that you can reach by road. There are zero amenities in the district, no gas, food, no potable water or services, and very limited cell service. You must carry all supplies and emergency gear and be totally self-sufficient to get yourself in and out. The closest thing to human civilization that exists inside the park boundaries is the Hands Flat Ranger Station. And that ranger station is 60-something miles of dirt roads each way from the nearest pavement, and over 70 miles from the nearest gas station. Once you reach the ranger station, the journey just begins, as the Dollhouse from the ranger station is 3 to 6 hours of rugged 4x4 high clearance terrain that's rated a 6 at its worst. What we're coming down right now are known as the Flint Trail switchbacks. They are the only route down off the canyon rim where the ranger station is, down into the Maze District backcountry. They drop about 1,000 feet over a fairly short distance, a demanding descent or ascent for drivers and vehicles. It's not too bad when it's dry, but they're definitely not particularly something I would want to navigate if it was wet, muddy, or icy. Beginning at this sign right here is where the most difficult section getting out to the Dollhouse begins. Onyx has it rated a 7 now, and Trails Off-Road a 5. Honestly, I would disagree with both of them, and rate it a really solid 6. I've been through Lockhart Basin, Elephant Hill, Top of the World, which are all also 6s, and I would say it's very comparable. I would not say it's a 7, but harder than a 5. Maybe if you took into consideration how sheerly remote this area is and trail is, you could add difficulty to it from that, which in theory could make it a 7, I guess. But as far as just obstacles go, it's definitely not a 7. I would rate it a solid 6. I apologize for the squeaking in every single clip in this video. Long story short, after this trip, I've figured out that my tent has settled and was making metal on metal contact with one of my roof crossbars. A little bit of it is my suspension bushings, but 90% of it was that metal on metal from my tent and my roof.
Just right here in this upper angle.
You're doing good. So proud. I would say this obstacle is easily the most challenging and demanding obstacle in the route. Luckily, when you're going out here, it's basically the first real obstacle you get to, so it acts as a sort of gatekeeper. As you can see, quite a few rocks have been stacked here by people prior to me, and this trend held up throughout every obstacle on this route. I was actually trying to avoid the rock stacks and go up the most challenging part of the ledge, because why not? That's the funner line. And as you'll tell in a second here, I actually did struggle a little bit. I backed up, took a little different lines every single time. Eventually I ended up using lockers, and once I locked, we kind of just breezed right on up it. This is the only obstacle, both coming in and coming out, that I remotely even came close to needing lockers for. I could have just used these stacked rocks also and not needed lockers. This obstacle would be a fairly significant little step waterfall thing had there not been so many rocks stacked, but as you can see, people have stacked they've done quite the rock stacking job. These views along this portion of the route, especially during the time that we just happened to time it by sheer luck during golden hour here, are absolutely breathtaking. It's just canyons as far as the eye can see, and with the snow-capped mountains in the back. There are backpacking routes that you can go out into these canyons here, which I would love to do one day. It does look quite intimidating though. It would be a absolute maze once you're inside there on foot. Once you get into the Dollhouse area here and into the needle portion, it's hard to describe it with words. I used to wonder a little bit why it was named the Dollhouse, and once you get in here yourself, you quickly figure it out. These rock formation needles are so large, even in a vehicle, they make you feel so small that you feel like a little doll in a dollhouse. At least to me, I would, in theory, assume that's where the name came from. During the very tail end of last winter camping season, I had the idea of getting a small pop up gazebo and using a propane fire in it with walls on it in the winter time. I got it so late, I ended up never using it until almost a year later here. I had set it up a few times in my yard, but this was my first time on a trip. And as you can see, I need a little practice with it. The key is to pop the roof out first before the walls. I figured that out here, and then the opposite, tearing it down. After my kind of frustrations and struggling with it, I figured it out, and it worked so well. This was actually during Thanksgiving Day, and believe it or not, it does get quite cold in the desert like this overnight. And the fire in this gazebo like that worked so well, it absolutely blew my mind. It was within 30 seconds of starting that fire in there, the interior temperature was at least 10 to 15 degrees warmer. It was very comfortable, and I will be doing this all the time during winter, late fall, early spring camping now. Also, along with it working very well for warmth, look at that vibe. It's like a giant candle out there. This is one place where you have to bring extra fuel. I brought 8 gallons. I ended up using all of it. By the time I got back to the gas station, I figured I probably could have brought about 6 and been okay still. But coming clear out to the Dollhouse, you have to bring extra fuel. Even if you think you'll make it, just judging from the miles, you have to take into consideration that you're going to be in 4 low crawling for a lot of those miles. So you absolutely use way more gas than you think you're going to use. If you run out of fuel out here and have to get rescued or have fuel brought to you, it will be the most expensive fuel of your entire life, I guarantee you. After a really slow, relaxed, lazy morning, which was awesome, we got all packed up and headed out to begin the journey all over again, getting back out. The exact same route, exact same road. There's only a one way in, one way out. That being said, keep sticking around because on the way out, we stopped at all the campsites, landmarks, some obstacles, and notable views that I didn't show on the way in. We did pop over here to check out campsite number 1, which, in my honest opinion, is the best campsite out of the 3 out here in the Dollhouse. The one we were at, which was campsite 2, is a very close. It's also awesome. Campsite 3's up out of the rocks and is the campsite I stayed at the first time. I definitely like 1 and 2 better.
Look how cool this side is. This is campsite number 1. Look at that. This isn't the campsite to have in here. For sure. So cool. These things are fascinating. How much do I have? Uppity up. I'm gonna avoid that crack.
You're up on this side.
This is known as Chimney Rock. It does indeed look like a chimney from the side here. This is actually a parking area only. I thought this was part of the campsite. It is not. The campsite is up here a little ways, which is a shame because the parking lot here has this view. Look at how cool it looks in there and down in there. Look at all that in there. That is amazing. So crazy looking. Those mountain backdrops are quite the vibe. Snow-capped. And look at all those canyons. Imagine trying to navigate that stuff on foot. And this is known as Standing Rock. Just the scale of these things out here is so immense. Let's see. Jeep. And clear up there. This is also a campsite right here, Standing Rock campsite. And it has views of, let's go check them out. This is pretty sloped, so it would be hard to get level right here. But if you could get level, you could in theory park right here, overlooking that. How cool is that? Look at that country in there. Insane. Just the scale of these buttes out here. They're enormous. They don't look it on camera, but
This rock formation out here is apparently known as the Plug. Whoever named this needs to find Jesus.
so this is the wall campsite, which is quite large. Easily the biggest campsite out here. There's one marker. The other marker is clear up right there. And then clear back to there. You probably can't see it, and I can't zoom anymore. And then that marker's right there. You could fit 10, 15, 20 vehicles in here. By far the biggest campsite available out here. And it does have a very good view. I've been out to this campsite twice now, and each time it's been windy and quite cold. So it's quite exposed, is the only problem.
That's 24
Oh,
degrees. Believe it or not, this shelf road looks directly down on the road you were just on, navigating out to the Dollhouse. We happened to time it just perfectly for golden hour, once again. And the country down there just looks so crazy. Not like anything that would be remotely navigatable by vehicle, but it is. The original plan for this trip was actually to spend one night in the Dollhouse out there, and then this night here out on Maze Overlook, one of the Maze Overlook campsites. Unfortunately, though, this was around Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving, actually, and I ended up having to be back this next following day by like noon for a family Thanksgiving dinner. And I sat here, debated, did some map work, and just came to the conclusion ultimately that I wouldn't be able to make it back the next day by noon if we camped out at this Maze Overlook site. So ultimately, the decision was made to just head all the way out and camp closer to the highway. So this now marks 2 trips in a row, twice, that the Maze Overlook vantage point in the Maze District here has eluded me. It did, however, present us with such a beautiful sunset. The mountains over here were absolutely glowing so vividly. I tried to capture it here with the camera, but as usual, it captured probably a quarter of it, what it was like in real life. The Flint Trail overall isn't bad. I did realize on this trip that going back up it feels a lot worse than going down it, but that's usually the case with any sort of obstacle. The time between the first time I came out here and this trip here is about 11 months, close to a year. And this time I would say that the switchbacks here were significantly more eroded and washed out than the first time I did it. Overall, the switchbacks, the hairpin turns on this trail would be very difficult, if not impossible, with any sort of trailer, even a small teardrop trailer. All said and done, from the moment of leaving pavement to getting back to pavement, I recorded 199.58 miles on this trip.